And Pastor Mark said it well. He said, idolatry is someone or something that occupies God in your life. Okay? I want to expand on that. I was thinking about this. I would submit to you that idols, a majority of the time, are blessings from God that you've been given and then misappropriated in your heart. I would say a majority of the time, unless it's something innately sinful, intrinsically sinful, it doesn't even have to be, for us to misappropriate a blessing from God and then make it into an idol. Think about that. Think about your intellectual capacity given by God, pieced together by God. And then people take that, misappropriate it, make it an idol. Your school career, okay, your trade, your career, your profession, given to you by God, misappropriated in your heart and thrust up as an idol. A girlfriend, a wife, kids, a family, a ministry, given to you by God, misappropriated in your heart, and thrust up as an idol. And I wanted to think about some other things because the church tends to have the same idols that we bag on over and over and over. And my mic wire is like creeping over my shoulder, right? Okay? And we think about idols the same way, it seems, every Sunday. Alcohol, TV, pornography. Okay, that's the one innately sinful. Okay, you can't restore that, by the way. Okay? TV, just the worst thing on the planet. Right? Okay? I'm struggling up here with this stuff. Okay. But I want us to think a little deeper about idols. I want us to think a little more abstract. Think a little more abstract. Okay? Think about things like your free time that you hold up. Think about the concept of a weekend, right? Like that song, everybody's just working for the weekend, right? Like that's the goal, is to get to the weekend, okay? Like that's all they talk about. I'm a marketer, so I do taglines for everything. So on all my social networks, if you guys are friends with me, I use one tagline for all my stuff. It says, refusing to wade through life in anticipation of the weekend. Every day is about something, okay? But we hold up weekends, which is a relatively new concept. The American weekend, pretty much the last 100 years. Okay, and what they did is they combined the Christian tradition of the Sabbath and they combined the Jewish Sabbath to say, all right, we'll just put those two together and we'll just do it in 2 days. Know this, as Christians, you get 1 day off. He's going to cut my weekend in half. Think about that, though. How many days did God feel necessary to rest after creating everything? 1. Notice it's called the Sabbath, not the Sabbaths. Not the weekend, all right? And there's a movement right now to move it back to move it to 3. Even if they don't cut, or even if they don't add hours to the workday. They're just saying, look, let's do it 3. People are going to be happier. We actually idolize our weekend. I'm telling you, Christian, you have 1 day off given to you by God. Gentlemen, you should be working that other day. Be like, well, I can't go into they lock the doors on the weekend. I can't go in. Do something. Start a ministry. Show up early to this. Ask me how you can help with Upstream. There's people here that work at the church. Saturday is simply another work day. And then they come here, or Sunday, and then they come here. There's people that don't work here that work all Sunday. Okay? Micah, Aaron leads worship in the morning. It led worship for the junior hires this morning, right? Back for Upstream. Okay, people working all day. All right, but Christians, we feel like it's just like, that's part of our culture. You don't talk about my weekend. I'm guaranteed that. You get the Sabbath. My Sabbath is Saturday. Today, I spend pretty much all day teaching, finalizing notes, getting ready, going to church, all right? 1 day, just a little beef of mine, okay? How about this? How about your locale? We were talking about this when we came back from the Tough Mudder. A couple guys, Aaron, David Johnston, Mark Achenbach, we went and did the Tough Mudder. On the way back, we were talking about family stuff. Talking about, hey, maybe you guys have had this conversation too. If you could move anywhere, where would you move? And I have this, I'm from out of state. I'm not from here. Born in Chicago, went to high school in Minneapolis. So maybe I have a skewed perspective. You guys are being way too harsh on this. don't talk about the 805, okay? We have our own magazine, okay? Because our area code is better than yours, all right? Think about how much we worship our locale. How many friends, some of you here might be offended. How many of you in the back of your head, you say, I will never leave this place. I will never move. And these people will enter marriages, and they will enter mortgage agreements, they will enter careers, and they will sacrifice their family because they idolize where they live, as if God can't approach Wyoming. Pastor Rob talks about how there's a plethora of Calvary chapels in Hawaii, none in North Dakota. It's like God doesn't move there. Like he's never called anyone to South Dakota or Wisconsin. Okay? You hear this all the time. I've heard this so much. When Carissa and I, both times that we've thought that we needed to move. First time to Colorado, second time to Texas. We opened ourselves up to it. We said the finances aren't working. She's a stay-at-home mom, Titus 2 woman. I'm a worker. We talked about that last week. I provide for my family. The numbers aren't meshing. It's time to go. We love this place. Trust me. We had the whole conversation. The only time we started to get a little teary-eyed is about leaving the church. Maybe that's because neither of us have family here. Some of you idolize family. And like your locale in the distance, okay? We got to a point where we had to move. It was going to be hard, don't get me wrong. But how many people sacrifice their families to stay here? I asked Carissa, I said, Carissa runs my finances, our finances, as you guys know from last week. I said, about how much do we have right now? You guys have seen our house, quaint little place. We're in the second refinance right now. What are our bills? Tithing, food, everything else. What are our bills every month? About $4,000. $4,000. Single income. Small place. And you get people that jump into it with two, can barely make it work, and say, well, and then they'll talk to me about it. How'd you guys do it? And take a look at the steps and say, hey, but the first thing we did was talk about moving. Not an option. Not an option. I cannot live anywhere else. God can only use me in Thousand Oaks. Can't be used anywhere else. I don't care if Arizona's cheap and Nevada's cheap and everywhere else is cheap except New York. Okay? But we do that. We take things. We've been blessed to live here. Don't get me wrong. We're going to stay here as long as humanly possible. But Carissa's not going to go back to work while our kids are young. She's not. Okay? Because we try not to idol. Don't get me wrong. I have my other idols that I'm working on. Okay? But we even idolize abstract ideas like locale. Okay? And idolatry is anything that we hold on to like that. And a lot of times, like I said, it's things that were given to God, were given from God, blessings we misappropriate in our heart, and then we lift it up on a pedestal.